What's going on, Sports Wars? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost and GeeksGamers.com. And in a stunning move for college football, which we've had a few of the past couple days, Brian Kelly is leaving Notre Dame to become the next head coach at LSU. You can see the breaking news alert from ESPN. Jeremy tweeted this out because it was right after we got done with Monday Evening Quarterback, a live stream we do every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Myself, Jeremy, and Robert Barnes. And we discussed this rumor because it just started circulating. You can see now it's official. LSU to hire Notre Dame's Brian Kelly as head coach. Yahoo Sports, Notre Dame's all-time leader in wins, which is pretty crazy to think of. But now you have this move actually happening. But we had this discussion that I thought was fantastic on the stream. I want to let you guys hear all about it, what it means for Brian Kelly to potentially go to LSU, which he eventually did, and what it could mean for Notre Dame going forward. We got a couple super chats here from John Kruger for 5. Brian Kelly to LSU, announcement could come tomorrow.
That wouldn't surprise me because Notre Dame is tougher to recruit at. It would partially surprise me because he seemed like he was a lifer for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But not totally, because LSU is probably getting a little desperate right now. They I think really wanted Lincoln Riley, and this AD has put all of his eggs into this coaching choice. I mean, he wanted this AD gig for a while at LSU, so they need somebody like Kelly. Now, the advantage for Kelly is at LSU, you really so dominates the entire state that you can be mediocre and recruit well at LSU. And because Kelly's been a decent recruiter, but never like a stellar recruiter, but decent.
And you can recruit really dumb people, which you can at Notre Dame. So
yeah, well, that's what you can about Auburn.
But
Auburn was so at Auburn you could be illiterate and get a degree. I mean, Ickey Woods was functionally illiterate, could not read or write, and he got a college degree from Auburn. So that tells you what. I also said about SEC football, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. There's that sort of aspect to recruiting. All's fair in winning football games. But I think Kelly would be a big name hire.
It's a good fit. It's a good fit.
Yeah, he is, and I could see him being pretty quickly good there. I don't know if he would be elite necessarily. I mean, they're just kind of assuming if Orgeron can win a title here and Les Miles can win a title here, then a decent coach can win a title here. And but it would be a surprise Notre Dame fans for Kelly to leave. But it's also the money. LSU
He's very comfortable.
Huge checkbook, and LSU would, Kelly would be on their radar screen because of South Louisiana, because part of South Louisiana is so Catholic that there's a lot of Notre Dame fans actually there. And so it would make sense. Otherwise, Notre Dame's kind of off the SEC radar typically because don't play them very often. Most SEC fans think of Notre Dame as overrated because of all the Heistmans, as I like to call
them.
Because they are overrated. Yeah. Everyone should think of Notre Dame as fucking overrated.
But I can't imagine Kelly on the eve of possibly going to the playoffs is going to jump to LSU.
Yeah, I can't. That the announcement is where I would look at that and go, I don't see an announcement happening tomorrow because even if it's in discussion or even if it's a done deal, I can't, because there, as we've seen through not only the college football season but also the NFL season, crazy shit's happening, and I don't see that Notre Dame has a legit chance to make the college football playoffs still.
Yeah,
you don't interrupt that. You do not interrupt that with an announcement like this. You just don't.
They just need either Michigan or Alabama to get upset, and they're in. And the only reason why they wouldn't leapfrog Cincinnati is because Cincinnati beat them this year. Correct. Otherwise, in another year, that committee would put Notre Dame above Cincinnati, even with one loss. But yeah, I can't imagine that. And so, we'll see. There are also rumors a week and a half ago that Lincoln Riley was on the plane to Baton Rouge, and that never came to college football hiring season is great for the crazy rumors, especially on message boards. Be like, yeah, I saw so-and-so, the private plane, tracked him.
Here's the tail number. I know he was there. Yeah.
There were five times that John Gruden had been hired at Tennessee over the last 10
years. I remember that. As we know, Nick Saban was not going to be the coach at Alabama. We know that. And
yes.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So it'll be interesting. But I do think Brian Kelly that would be a good fit at LSU. And it's probably the best fit that they could have, all things considered, looking at the landscape of available coaches right now.
You have a
Yeah.
winning coach who knows how to, who's a solid recruiter, but definitely knows how to coach at this level, and they would be good right away. I mean,
And
they'd be
he's already
back to being elite.
and he's already had his ass beat by Nick Saban. So I mean, it's a good
exactly.
fit. It's a good fit
What,
for
twice,
LSU,
right?
So yeah. So there you go. I'm
Yeah.
good with it.
Well, Notre Dame's overrated, so they constantly get in games that they should not be in, and then they get subsequently fucking blown out. That has literally been them for the past 20
It's
years.
because they're good, but they're just not elite talent wise. And he's a solid he's a solid coach, but he's not really an overperformer. They don't overachieve. They overachieve Vegas expectations. Like Brian Kelly has been a great underdog betting coach since his Cincinnati days. In fact, going back to his Central Michigan days. But but Notre Dame, unless they step up in class, if they step up in class, they get crushed. They're kind of like Wisconsin tends to be that way. Those programs that are really good, really disciplined, intensive, but you look at their talent and you're like, there's 6 or 7 guys that are going to make the league, not the whole roster. Like when you step up against a Clemson, an Alabama, a Georgia, Florida when they're good, LSU when they're good, a USC when they're good, Ohio State when they're good, you're going up against an NFL roster most of the time. 2/3 of those guys at least will make will get an NFL paycheck. That's never been true. They don't play
anybody, and they don't play anybody. They have continuously not wanted to join a conference for a reason, and now they're not even playing like. They used to have like an annual Michigan game, or at least very close to annual. They don't have that anymore. This year they played Florida State, right? And maybe a couple years ago that would have been a big game, but not this year.
Right now.
And
I mean, their schedules, because they have locked in certain, some of the academies, some of the academic schools like Stanford, other people. They really depend on those programs being up for their schedule to be really good. Now they played Wisconsin this year, but that's a good Notre Dame matchup. The tough matchup would be one of the elite programs in terms of, and they generally only sporadically schedule those programs. So the Tennessee's had some great wins in South Bend. We had a defensive lineman block a field goal with his rear end once to win the game. So that became infamous.
I was at a big upset at Notre Dame in maybe 2009, 2000. Probably like 2009 when Navy went in there and beat Charlie Weiss. That was when Jimmy Clausen was there and Golden Tate was there. And I was fucking loving it because I grew up 35, 40 minutes from the Notre Dame campus, and I've hated Notre Dame my entire fucking life. And so to see them get beat by Navy at Notre Dame, it was fucking glorious. So much salt that day from South Bend, Indiana. It was perfect.
The last time Notre Dame was relevant for me was Rocket Ismail. That's how far back it goes.
Well, that was
Rocket Ismail.
When they still had open recruiting policies, Lou Holtz built a heck of a program there in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, you had a backfield with Ricky Waters, Jerome Bettis, and I think Rocket was actually part of that team. And he played a kind of hybrid role. That was an impressive running offense. I mean, that was, you're talking about guys 10+ years in the NFL, Hall of Famers. And then he had guys like Bryant Young on the defensive line. I mean, he had some serious talent back in the day. There was that famous game against, and back then they were also, Miami or Florida State was on the schedule every year. And that was when Miami was good. That was, Jimmy Johnson against Lou Holtz and things like that. I don't think Notre Dame can replace Kelly with a quality coach. Notre Dame's academic standards make it tough to recruit there. And Kelly was an overachiever. They had gone through many years post Holtz. Even Holtz couldn't recruit there at the end. I don't think that they could seriously take a major step back if they do lose Kelly as a coach.